Okay, this is a coal loading wharf right here. The remains of steel pier remains of the coal loading wharf up above the river here. And this goes back to, I think, about the 1930s. They came and reopened up some of these old drift mines, and they actually had electric locomotives that would be on a tramway going past all the drift mines. And however they did it, they backed the coal cars up into here, and they had I guess some kind of a chute system, and they would have a coal barge down below tied up, and they would just dump the coal down the chute into the waiting coal barge. But it's, don't get to see these very often, or at all. So anyway, we're gonna see if we can get to some of these mines that are way down on the other side of where this coal tipple is. Okay, we're up along this high bluff above the river, and the tramway line is down there. There's the remains of a mine cart with a tree growing up out of it, and all down along this section below this high bluff is a series of coal drift mines. And they had an electric tramway locomotive system that took the coal to a coal loading tipple down there along the river. And this is one of the mines going back to the 30s that is still open. And my buddy went down in there, and I'm going to follow him down in there. He did a little recon and said it goes a pretty long way. So we'll head on down in there and see where this goes. But we've got the maps for this mine, so we know where we're at, the exact location of what the number of this mine is. So anyway, we'll see what it looks like inside. So there's a lot of good headroom here. Still got some wooden supports with hinges on them. Could be that they had some kind of a blast door. Not really sure. But this mine was in operation for about 10 years or so. Okay. Josh is heading on down that way. Alright. And you can see some of the little timber supports, but these could also be for the minecart rails. And you've got the coal seam, maybe 2 feet. And there's an electrical insulator where the bright part of the light is right there. So the mines were electrical. They had electrical wiring, probably electric lights, and they did have small electric locomotives in here. Not sure what type they were, but we're going to head further on back in. Okay, the mine entrance is back that way. So this is going to keep going on. They'll have a lot of small left-right headers, and they only made them as tall as the coal seam right there. And you can see the wooden support timber right there. And Josh is heading down that way. Alright, got a lot of bats in here. I don't blame them. It's nice and warm. And that's what it looks like. Little bitty coal seam. Guys, those miners had to be on their sides picking that out. So, alright, we'll make our way on down this way. Okay, you can see the little cross ties right there. And you can see the electrical insulators right there. There's a nice one right there. So, and you got a bunch more. So they had a little electric locomotive in this mine. I mean, it must have been pretty small, but they made all types of small electric locomotive trains for these mines, all different types. So may have to do some research to see what type of electric locomotive would fit in this mine. But this goes a long way, I tell you. So, okay. Head further down and follow Josh. Okay, still heading back into this mine, and have encountered, which is kind of normal, about a foot of water. It's always good to have boots on like that to go back into these things, unless you just want soaking wet feet. But anyway, it just keeps heading on back. This was a pretty long coal mine when it was in operation, so it's good airflow. There's other mines that are parallel to this that are open, so the air's coming in and there's really good airflow coming through this mine, so that's always a good sign. Okay, this is going to be my stopping point. Josh, he went on several hundred feet more, and he said it just keeps going as far as you want it to go. So these were some big drift coal mines, and you can see the remains of the cross ties for the tramway rails. And this is pretty unique. They blocked up this work header right here, and that goes back quite a ways if someone is brave enough to get on their stomach and crawl back in there, but not me. But anyway, pretty unique, but this is as far as I'm going. But Josh went on quite a few hundred feet more, and he said there's another one of these, and a lot of mining bottles and Prince Albert in a can snuff, and so, and there's some kind of metal or iron something there. Maybe could even be part of a minecart. I don't know. But when we don't know what this is.
See, I was thinking we were going to see a body, because I mean, to me it looks like leather chaps that they would put over when they were working, maybe in the small areas.
Yeah, so remains of somebody's clothes.
I mean, it's...
So we were wondering if we were going to run into a moonshine still, but this may be the first coal mine we've come into without a moonshine still. Okay, this is as far as we're going right here, because it'll go as far as you want it to go, hundreds and hundreds of feet, and we are back a long, long way underground. But you can still see the remains of the little cross ties, timber cross ties for the rails. And like I said, it just keeps going, and my buddy said there's left, right headers up there. It'll just keep going. So anyway, we'll just conclude this and get on up out of here, and there's a couple of more other mines we want to check out in the area. So and that gentleman right there is taking a miner's break. He's on a 15-minute union break. And these are the remains of little tramway rails. There's nothing left of them. There's one right there. And there's remains of like a hand drill or maybe a handle. And that's a Prince Albert in a can, a snuff can right there remains. Pretty good shape. Where is it? I lost it. Okay. There it is. All right. Well, that was a cool expedition.
Absolutely.
And we'll go ahead and get on up out of here. All right.
Looks like the miners had gloves.
Oh, yes.
Blue gloves.
Insulators everywhere.
I know.
All right. Okay, this is up here at this coal mine site we're at along the river, up above the river, and you can see this is a remains of a mine cart right here, and it's been here for so long a tree grew up in the middle of it, and you can actually see the wheel right there. still coming out. So, been here a long time. Mines were abandoned just decades ago, so this is all overgrown, and right down there is the where they had the electric locomotive tramway right there. So, okay, we're still in this big mine complex area above the river, and it just goes on forever. But we had done some research that one of the mines had been turned into an air shaft, and took some walking in the woods high above the river, but we found it. And this is the remains of an air shaft. They had a fan house, and the mine is right down there, and they pump that air going into the coal mine. So, and you can look in the mine down there, but there's one of the power line poles right there, and so I'm not sure where they had the power coming from, over the ridge. I'm not sure, but it took some work to build this thing. And there's one of the big insulators right there. And but this was the remains of a fan house that we had researched it. We didn't think we could find it, but this goes back to, I think, about the early 1950s, when some of these mines were still open up here. So we'll go down there and check that out. Okay, this is the bottom of the air shaft, or the fan house going into the mine. And not a whole lot left, but I guess they had this covered up somehow. And this is the mine right here, what's left of it, and it's completely flooded back in there. So, full of water. So this is probably a pretty big entrance at one time. So, but I guess they had a big shroud around this, and they just pumped the air right in here. So, and so it took some doing. I mean, we're out here in the middle of nowhere. So anyway, that's a neat find, and it joins up with this series of old coal drift mines we were looking at. We went into one of them. So, okay. Okay, this we found the big mine entrance that would be connected with that fan house, and it's right there. And the manway's just right over here. So a lot of these truck mines came back into existence. They came back to pre-existing coal drift mines, modified them, went back in there and got, a lot of the extra coal the early miners couldn't get. But this is a good indication of how old this mine was. Early 1900s, definitely. Maybe even 1890s, but definitely early 1900s. That is a thin piece of tramway rail. Very thin. I mean, super thin. And that is really old. Turn of the century. Early 1900s. Right there. So, that's a good indication of just how old these mines are along the river. So, anyway, it was a good find. Okay, the main mine entrance was over here. This is the tramway bed right here. And this was the manway entrance going into this big mine. It would be to the left of the big mine. And the fan house air shaft is way over there in that ravine further to the right. But big operation they had out here at one time. We need to do a little more research on who operated it. But we are deep in the woods along the river. So, pretty interesting. And you can see the tramway bed heading off this way. So, anyway, that'll conclude this little trip we had out here along the river.